Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to cut through all the noise around generative AI. We'll dig into the source material to figure out the difference between the marketing hype that's promising a whole new kind of intelligence and, the actual scientific reality. So let's get right into it. I mean, you've seen the headlines, right? The absolutely mind-blowing demos, the stock market just going completely wild. But what's the real story behind ChatGPT and all these other large language models? Are we really watching a new form of intelligence being born? Or are we just caught in a hype bubble of truly epic proportions? So on one side of the coin, you get these just incredibly dire warnings. And look, this isn't just from some random person on the internet. This is a statement signed by the very people who are building this technology, including the CEO of OpenAI. They're putting AI in the same category as nuclear war. That's a heavy statement. And then on the other side, all this chatter, whether it's good or bad, is just pouring gasoline on a market frenzy. Case in point, NVIDIA, a company right at the heart of the AI chip game. Their stock jumped a staggering 25%. Not in a year, not in a month, in a single day. That's the financial side of the hype machine right there. And this brings us right to the core of what we're digging into today. We're looking at a fundamental battle, really, a tug-of-war between two totally different stories about what AI is and what it can do. It's a clash between the financial incentives and the cold, hard engineering reality. And these two stories really couldn't be more different. The hype machine is shouting, these AIs are geniuses, humans are so dumb. But then you go listen to the actual scientists and engineers, the people with their hands on the code, and they're saying the complete opposite. They're like, no, these things are actually pretty dumb and you absolutely should not trust them. Okay. So let's side with the engineers for a minute. Let's pop the hood and see what's really going on. Why are they so skeptical? When you get right down to the nuts and bolts, just how smart are these incredibly powerful machines, really? Well, this table really puts things in perspective. Let's just look at the raw numbers here. The human brain has around 100 billion neurons. The biggest AI supercomputer mentioned, 64 million. It's not even in the same league. And the connections? The brain has up to 500 trillion of them. The supercomputer, 16 billion. And the kicker, the absolute craziest part, your brain does all of this on about 20 watts of power. That's less than a dim light bulb. The raw efficiency of biology it's still breathtaking. So when you hear that classic tech promise of better, faster, cheaper, you kind of have to ask yourself, which system is really the gold standard here? Because looking at the numbers, it's pretty clear we haven't come close to matching the sheer power and efficiency of what's already inside our own heads. But look, it's not even just about the processing power. There's a much more fundamental problem at play here, a concept that's literally as old as computing itself. Garbage in, garbage out. GIGO. It's simple. The quality of what an AI spits out can never be better than the quality of the data you feed it. So what are these giant AI models being trained on? Well, basically, the internet. And not just the nice, clean, fact-check parts. We're talking about massive amounts of data scraped from places like Wikipedia, Reddit, and all over social media. Just this huge, unfiltered pile of information that's often biased, often unchecked, and sometimes just flat out wrong. And think about this for a second. The guy who co-founded Wikipedia has literally said nobody should trust it. You've got other major figures in tech echoing that sentiment. I mean, when the very people behind your main data sources are sounding the alarm about reliability, you should probably listen up. And this isn't just theoretical, right? This has very real consequences. For example, when the Chinese spy balloon was a massive, unfolding global news story, an author asked ChatGPT about it. The response was total ignorance. It basically said, I have no idea what you're talking about. There are no credible reports of this. That is garbage in, garbage out in a nutshell. Old, incomplete data leads to a completely, provably false answer on a matter of global security. So yeah, the systems have some clear limitations. But focusing just on the machine's flaws might be missing the bigger picture. The core argument here is that the real point of failure, the weak link in the chain, it isn't the silicon. It's us. Now, the argument is framed using an analogy from a totally different, very charged debate about technology. I'm sure we've all heard this phrase on the slide before. And what it does is it shifts the focus away from the tool itself and puts it squarely on the person who's wielding it. And that leads to this really powerful question. If we accept that human beings are responsible for how a powerful tool is used, why on earth would AI be any different? Who is ultimately in control here?
and who should be held accountable for the consequences, good or bad.
And the source material is clear. Accountability lies with the humans behind the curtain. The designers who create the algorithms, the builders who code them, the financiers who are funding the whole operation, and yeah, even the influencers who are driving all the hype. They are all part of that chain of responsibility.
This whole problem gets way worse because of a system that actually rewards hype more than it rewards truth. The author gives it a name: adversarial capitalism. It's basically a system where creating a frenzy of misinformation can actually be more profitable than just sticking to the scientific facts, especially when you've got stocks to pump and massive valuations to justify.
This quote just nails the whole argument. It suggests the breaking point isn't a bug in the code or some issue with a neural network. The vulnerability is human nature itself, our judgment, our motivations, and yeah, our greed.
Okay, so we've talked about the hype, the reality, the real risks. The big question is, where do we go from here? What's the smart way to navigate a world that's becoming more and more filled with AI?
A pretty clear two-step path forward emerges from all this. Step 1, we have to be ruthlessly pragmatic. We have to recognize that today's AI systems just cannot be trusted for critical, high-stakes tasks. But, and this is just as important, step 2 is that we can't just stop. We have to keep pushing research and development so we can understand and overcome these limitations.
And what this all really boils down to is that the ultimate power here doesn't lie with the algorithm. It lies with us. The most valuable skill in this new era isn't going to be coding an AI. It's being able to think critically about the information it gives you. It's all about smart minds using smart tools smartly.
You know, it's funny, but maybe the best guide for our high-tech future actually comes from ancient wisdom. This quote says it all. Don't just believe something because you read it, or because someone or something told you it's true. The final judge has to be your own reason and your own common sense. And that leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. As these tools get more powerful and woven into our lives, you're going to face a choice over and over again. Are you going to put your faith in the black box of the algorithm, or are you going to trust your own ability to reason? The answer to that question is going to define our future.